Welcome back to SF Craft Season 2 for episode 17. In this episode, we're going to be continuing where we left off with the casino and finishing the last two games, and possibly finishing the friendly war. As most of you already know, Astro bought Forbes Island and Castle, but he has taken that castle down and built his own house here. So we're going to be taking a look at this. And this looks really good. It makes more sense for Astro's peninsula base than that old castle. And it is completely empty as of now. But he has some lanterns in here instead of torches, so it's looking pretty good. And this is what that dirt on the ceiling was for. This one tree. This one small tree. So now that we've seen this, we can get back to working on the casino. The walls for the third floor are already built, so we are pretty much ready to go to start working on this machine, which is going to be a slot machine. So, just like with the last build, I'm going to place a block for where the floor is going to be, but for now, some of it's just going to be underground, because this is a pretty big machine with a lot of different redstone components. So I'm going to start working on it, and then I'll explain it as we go. And I also now have enough copper to finish outlining the roof. The roof is now outlined with copper, and it is all fully oxidized, and we are almost done with the outside of this building. I also started working on the slot machine, and we have the first 3 redstone pieces for this completed. So this part here is just like the other machines with an item sorter. And here we have a pulse extender, which will keep the machine running for the right amount of time. And these repeaters then lead to this over here, which we have a hopper clock and a dispenser clock, which will power the piston feed tape until the pulse extender runs out, and then it will power this sticky piston with an observer, which will have a redstone output. So now we need to connect the hopper clock to the clock with the next part, which is going to be back here. And that is 3 hopper dropper randomizers, which will make sure the piston feed tapes don't activate every time. And we now have our 3 hopper dropper randomizers, and all of the droppers have 3 shovels and 1 regular block, because the shovels have a higher redstone output than the regular blocks. So when the shovel is dropped into the hopper, it will activate the piston feed tape, but when a regular block is dropped, the signal won't be strong enough to activate it. So there will be a 75% chance of each feed tape activating. That way the results won't always be the same. So I built a little bit of the floor here, as well as the front of the machine. But all of the redstone is 100% complete. And if we go back here, you can see the piston feed tapes, which have 5 different blocks. That way the chance of landing on a diamond block isn't too high. And we'll build up to this and look at it from the top. So the way these work is the only full blocks in the feed tapes are diamond blocks, and the rest are stairs. That way a redstone signal can only travel through the diamond blocks. Here at the end is where your reward is given by that observer, and a note block plays. And there are repeaters in between all of the front blocks, because the redstone signal, which will be given by that sticky piston observer that I explained before, will go through those repeaters all the way to the end if you win. So before we test this, I'm going to expand the floor so we have more room. So let's test this out. Put an emerald in this dropper and it will automatically start. And as you can see, each block has a 75% chance of changing. And we didn't win. So I noticed this random hole next to the nether portal, and it looks like Erin turned her trading hall into this giant room under the peninsula with a lot of chests. And I have no idea where her villagers went, but hopefully they don't exist anymore, so she'll buy her books at my store instead of trading. But it is now time to get back to the casino and finally finish the walls of this and finish the final game. The fourth and final floor now has walls, and we are ready to start working on the final game, which is going to be Snake Eyes. So this game is a lot different than slots, but the redstone is going to be pretty similar because I'm going to make a similar machine, except that is modified, so the chance of rolling a 1, which will be a solid block, will be about 1 in 6, and there will only be 2 dice, unlike the 3 blocks with the slot machine. So everything I built so far is pretty much exactly the same as the slot machine. So it still has an item sorter and a pulse extender and the observer and sticky piston. But this part back here is what is going to be different. There will be 2 piston feed tapes with more blocks than the slot machine. No way, there's no way that actually worked. Astro actually got killed by that trap. 1 life left. There must not have been a way to escape it without help, and none of us were going to help him. So now we just need to kill him 1 more time. The piston feed tapes are now complete, and just like with the last one, they're activated by the Hopper Dropper randomizers, which will make sure there's a 75% chance that each feed tape activates. And this was not easy extending this by 1 block, but it works. These emerald blocks will represent a 1, and the other numbers are represented by those stairs. So it works the same as the slot machine, in that you will only win and a redstone signal will only travel through if you roll a 1, which is a full emerald block. So let's start working on the front of this so the redstone isn't completely exposed. And there we go. Now this one looks a little different than the slot machine. I finished the floor, the ceiling, and the rest of the wall. So let's test this out. Just like with the slot machine, you put an emerald in here, and that will roll the dice. And we didn't win. This bookstore is doing really well, and everyone keeps buying all of our books. So let's see which one sold this time. 2 Unbreaking 3s, of course. And none of any of these. Not even mending, wow. And 1 of these, probably Silk Touch. And what is this? Ballon Leah? I have no idea how to pronounce that. But let's follow the sign. And what happened to Rex Store? He literally got banned. And this store is new. I don't know who built this. Let's see what's in here. Nothing, of course, is not open or stocked yet. And here it is, read the board. Welcome to this, owned by the communists. Plots are customizable by size, do not break the floor. Need a crew, ask Wise Gear. Rules apply, okay, so yeah. Doesn't have to be shops. Seems interesting. I still don't think they need to buy half the shopping district to do this, but that's what they did. We are back at the casino, and there is one last thing we need to do to finish the outside of this building, and that is the roof and the front diagonal wall. But we're going to start with the roof, which is going to be black concrete, and you're going to see what the front is going to be soon because we are going into a time lapse to finish this. We are back from that time lapse, and the casino is pretty much finished. As you can see, the front here looks like this, and I think that looks really good. I know you'll only pretty much be able to see it fully from either a roof like this or the center of the street once we build the fourth building, but I think this was the best way to do it. So let's look at it from up here. And the city center and peninsula in general are looking so much better with this here. And I think the roof turned out really nice too, with the white outline and then the copper. And of course, one of the vending machines isn't working as always. And from the street, the letters still look really good. So there are still a few things we need to do to the inside. And I already placed beds on every floor. So even if people realize what time it is, they'll sleep here instead of leaving the casino. And we also need to start adding the instructions for how to play all these games, because a lot of the people here probably have no idea how to play some of these games. So we're just going to place a lectern next to each of these games, and we'll have a book with all of the instructions on them. We also need to place signs on all of these games so people know what to do. So now we have signs on everything. All of the return barrels are labeled. So hopefully people will place their cards in the right barrel. And the games themselves have signs and the books. Which this one is really long because there are a lot of directions for how to play poker, but now people will be able to learn how to play. So let's look at all of the other floors here. And this one is also a little bit more complicated than the other two, so people might need to learn how to play. And there are signs everywhere. And this one is hopefully pretty simple. And so is this one. So now that the casino is done, I don't really want to start any more projects this episode, so I think that is going to be it for this episode of SFcraft. This episode unfortunately got a little bit short, and that's because I originally had intended to build the casino in one episode, and it ended up being around 40 minutes. So I had to split it, but the only place that made sense to split it made the first episode a little bit too long and the second one a little bit too short, so sorry about that. Thanks for watching this episode of SFcraft. In these past two episodes, we have done some of the most complicated redstone of the entire season, and it is definitely going to pay off when people start coming here and losing all of their emeralds. We finished the two simplest games but most complicated redstone machines in this episode, Slots and Snake Eyes. And in the next episode, we are going to finish working on the bank and hopefully start working on the fourth and final building of the city center. So thanks for watching. Make sure to like and subscribe if you enjoyed the video, and we'll see you in episode 18.